Good morning. Welcome. The Committee of Adjustment meeting for July 9th, 2026 will now come to order. A notice to all those in attendance that this meeting will be live streamed on YouTube and recorded. Please note that the recording will be linked to the municipal website following the meeting. Our committee today consists of Chris Bishop, Don Popple, Adam Meyer, Secretary Treasurer, Jeff Isles, Director of Planning and Land Information, and myself, Barry Boyce, as Chair. This is a public hearing to consider 3 applications for a minor variance to the municipality's zoning bylaw. It is the committee's responsibility to consider all information received to date regarding the requested variances and to hear and consider any comments or questions provided by these. Any variances granted by the committee must meet 4 tests, which are defined in the Planning Act. The requested variances must be minor in nature, must be desirable for the proper development of the land, must comply with the general intent of the official plan, and must comply with the general intent of the zoning bylaw. Please note that if anyone wishes to be notified of the decision, please make a request in writing to the municipality. Does any committee member wish to declare a conflict of interest? None? Okay. Any oral or written submissions received in advance of the meeting will be verbally read aloud at the time the application is considered. All persons who have pre-registered will have an opportunity to present or ask questions about the proposals. Please direct all your questions and comments to the chair. Please state your name and the relation to the application prior to speaking. I need a motion now to adopt the minutes from the meeting of June 11th, 2026. Moved by Chris Bishop. Seconded by Don Popple.
Yep.
Be it resolved, the minutes, June 11th be adopted. Sorry, I didn't say that very good. June 11th, 2026 be adopted. Carried. All in favor? Okay. Like that. Our first application is for the lands of Ellis. This is a variance to request a permit to permit a water closet to be located within a private garage. Wes, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yep. Do you want to give us a little rundown of what you're requesting here?
Yeah, so I have an older cottage built in, I think, 54 on blocks. I think you're familiar with
I'm
it.
familiar.
And I've been using an outhouse for probably 47 years, which doesn't bother me none. But when I took the cottage over about 7 years ago, it was recommended that, hey, you should probably put a septic tank in. It's best for the lake, it's best for the environment. So, put the septic tank in first and then proceeded to then figure out, okay, how do we get a washroom in this place? It's very hard to kind of attach it to the cottage. So the idea was we built a garage, and with the idea of having the washroom in the garage. In retrospect, obviously, the way that we planned it and the way that we submitted it wasn't correct, but it wasn't in an attempt to hide anything. It was just me not doing my true due diligence and just kind of following some bad advice. So really, I'm just looking to get a washroom in my garage so we can utilize the septic tank.
Okay. All right. Committee members.
Yeah, upon reading all that, I don't really have any issue with the request.
Okay. Same. Okay. Adam, get any public comment?
Yep. So through you, Chair, notice the minor variance was circulated as required by regulation on June 23rd, 2026. No comments have been received. And should the committee decide to grant the requested variance, the following conditions would be appropriate. Condition number 1, this variance applies to a water closet in the garage as shown generally on the property sketch dated June 16th, 2026 and attached to the decision. Condition number 2, the County Haliburton Shoreline Tree Preservation Bylaw 3505 applies. Condition number 3, Municipality of Dysart et al. Site Alteration Bylaw 2023-101 as amended applies. Condition number 4, during construction, proper site preparation and construction methods are to be used to prevent sedimentation of the adjacent lake. Condition number 5, prior to occupancy, the applicant shall submit application for a building permit for the attached deck. Condition number 6, prior to August 15th, 2026, the applicant shall remove the outdoor shower or bring it into compliance.
Yeah, any problem, anything there that jumps out at you?
No, so the deck was built probably 10 years ago before it was transferred to me, so I didn't realize that that was done incorrectly, so I can do whatever we need to do to get that up to speed. And the outdoor shower that was in that picture, that was just temporary. That's not even there anymore. It's just like a camping shower, so I have no problem with any of that.
Okay, sounds good. Can we get a motion then?
I'll make the motion to grant the variance.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion moved by Chris Bishop, seconded by Don Popple. Be it resolved that the committee decision with respect to file D13MV 2024-023 be recorded as follows. A variance to section 3.1A to permit a water closet to be located in a private garage is granted. All in favor? Passed. Okay, well, you're good to go.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Frank, you have a-
Okay, Frank, you want to come up? Our second applications for lands of Mimic. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay. This is a variance request to permit an increase to the maximum lot coverage and maximum shoreline lot coverage, permit an additional accessory building, legalize the width of a stairway and a gazebo within the minimal setback area. Okay, Frank, it's you're up. Give us a rundown.
We bought this property about 8 years ago. We love it up here, except the bugs. The prior owners had constructed the cottage and the accessory buildings over 30 years ago. And we did not realize when we bought the place that the gazebo and a hot tub were not allowed to be in the water setback. We found this out when we applied for a license for short-term rentals. We were completely transparent. We disclosed all the structures that were there. We worked together with the staff to understand the bylaws and figure out what our options were. This is a unique property. It's a much smaller lot than what you would approve today. It's under half an acre. There is a triangle of land between our lot line and the street line that is not, it was a road allowance. It's not being used anymore, but it's empty. If that road allowance were part of our property, we wouldn't be over lot coverage or anything like that. And in fact, we will be over lot coverage a tiny amount. I think 15.35% according to my calculation instead of the 15. So the main issue here is the gazebo. We love that gazebo. Being able to go out and have lunch on the deck and not be swarmed by bugs makes it so much more enjoyable to come up here and spend time here. Another thing is the property is one of the very few accessible cottages that are available for rent in the municipality. That's what we're told by our rental agency, a local agency. The prior owner was in a wheelchair and there were wheelchair ramps, which we've preserved. You can get around a wheelchair inside the home. The gazebo is right outside the doors that go to the deck, and it's at the same level as the deck so that you can roll a wheelchair out of the sunroom and into the gazebo to have lunch. So I'm heartbroken that I'm being asked to tear down this perfectly good building. It is 109 square feet inside, and your recent bylaw permits 108 outside. When I count the siding and the framing of the walls of this structure, it's 125 square feet. So it's a little tiny bit more. It's also over 15 meters back from the water instead of the 5 that you permit. So I'm wondering if the committee could consider a trade-off between the distance and the size. Because at that distance, it wouldn't appear any larger than the gazebo that you would permit. That's the main issue.
Okay, thank you. Committee members.
Well, I guess, you know, the gazebo is the issue. And we're faced with this at other times and, you know, strictly adhered to is what it talks about in the official plan and stuff. And I know it was there when you bought the place, but we've got rules and regulations that we have to follow and try to set example. So my opinion is that needs to be dealt with, brought into the proper square footage and proper height. That's my feedback.
So on the height of it, sorry, Adam, I'll let you do your thing first, then we'll, okay.
Yep. Through you, Chair. Notice of the minor variance was circulated as required by regulation on June 23rd, 2026. The following comments have been received. So first, an email from Hao Lim Chan, the neighboring property owner, was received. They outlined their support for the requested variances. Letter 2, a letter from Paul Mason, the neighboring property owner, was received. They outlined their support for the requested variances. 3, an email from Anna Drazen, the neighboring property owner, was received. They outlined their support for the requested variances. 4, an email from Philip Meads, the neighboring property owner, was received. They outlined their support for the requested variances. 5, a letter from Anna and Kyle Porter, the neighboring property owners, was received. They outlined their support for the requested variances. 6, a letter from Gino Wifa Saksinski, the neighboring property owner, was received. They outlined their support for the requested variances. And then lastly, 7, an email from Chuck Slade, a resident of Haliburton County, was received. They outlined their concern about overdevelopment of a waterfront property. And then, sorry. Should the committee decide to grant the requested variances, the following conditions would be appropriate. Condition number 1, these variances apply to a lot as shown generally on the property sketch dated June 5th, 2026 and attached to the decision. Condition number 2, the County of Haliburton Shoreline Tree Preservation Bylaw 3505 applies. Condition number 3, the Municipality of Dysart et al. Site Alteration Bylaw 2023-101 as amended applies. Condition number 4, prior to August 1st, 2026, the applicant shall remove or bring the hot tub into compliance with the zoning bylaw. Condition number 5, the applicant shall submit confirmation from an Ontario land surveyor that the development meets the granted lot, or sorry, the lot coverage and shoreland lot coverage as granted by the committee. Condition number 6, the applicant shall submit confirmation from an Ontario land surveyor that the combined gross floor area within the minimum water setback complies with the total gross floor area as granted by the committee. Condition number 7, if the variance to increase structure height of the gazebo is granted, the applicant shall submit confirmation from an Ontario land surveyor, architect, or other professional that the gazebo structure height meets the maximum structure height as granted by the committee. Condition number 8, if the variance to increase the ground floor area of the gazebo is granted, the applicant shall submit confirmation from an Ontario land surveyor that the gazebo ground floor area meets the maximum ground floor area as granted by the committee. Condition number 9, if the variances to increase ground floor area and structure height of the gazebo are granted, as per section 3.1B3K of the zoning bylaw, the applicant shall enter into a site plan agreement with the municipality.
So looks like we're really only talking about the gazebo here then, if we run through all these.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
And looking at the picture, Mr. Mittman, the decorative portion of the gazebo looks to be about 2.5, 3 feet high, just there for decoration. Is the, if
Is that correct?
just there for
Okay.
decoration.
Through you, Chair, yes.
That's being included in the height. We're only off by, how many feet are we off here on the height? It's
It's 14, right now it's 14.8,
about
should
three-
be 11.
About 3
Yeah.
feet. Well, to me, that looks about 3 feet.
Just to clarify, I believe the zoning bylaw excludes the height of the cupola. It's only to the peak of the roof
Oh,
underneath.
it's only the peak of the.
Okay. And the gazebo is only 3.5 meters from its floor to the peak of the roof underneath. The problem with the height is that to make it level with the deck so we can get a wheelchair in and out of it, it's sitting on concrete piers. And including the piers from the ground level to the top of the roof peak is higher than the 3.5 meters. But if I measured from the deck level to the peak of the roof, it would be within the 3.5.
I see. Okay, go ahead.
So, yeah, okay, that really doesn't, that didn't help me. No, I'm trying to help you there.
So so okay, it's sitting on cement piers that are sitting on top of the deck.
Pardon me, the cement piers are on the ground level.
I got you. Okay,
The
yes.
deck is on deck blocks
Yep.
and wooden supports, and the concrete piers that are holding up the sunroom, the same structure is holding up the gazebo so that it's at the same level as the
Right.
deck.
Okay. Jeff, you got any comments on this one?
I've been on this committee a long time. I've never had so much support from all the neighbors, so
Yeah.
it's pretty difficult to put you in a bad spot here.
Yeah, and through you, Chair, I don't really have any comments other than what Adam has added in his report. I certainly, as Don said here, there's a lot of support from the neighbors here, which certainly addresses that desirability test.
Yes.
And I think from where staff come from, it's the official plan test. Like, these are new policies put in place by council. And then the official plan policies say they are to be strictly enforced, and they use the word shall. The gazebo shall have this size, the gazebo shall have this height, which doesn't leave much wiggle room. Therefore, in staff's opinion, it doesn't meet that official plan test just because of that strictly enforced criteria. It's not to say it isn't desirable or minor, because it relatively is just a minor increase in height and a minor increase in size, but due to the language in the official plan and council's intent when they were passing those policies, staff just don't think it meets that test. And if it fails one, it fails them all. So that's where the staff report was coming from. But we're happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Okay. Well, or you got something else, Chris?
Yeah, just, I know this is a difficult situation, but we've dealt with similar situations before and made people follow the regulations, and they've had to move them or adjust the size or whatever. So to make allow you to do this would be an injustice to people that we've made changes in the past. That's my thoughts on that. And strictly adhered to, we come up with that all the time, and that's where we draw them.
Okay, well, I guess the only thing I can say is I encourage you to, I don't know if you, any way that you can find to shorten the height of that gazebo without actually having to tear it down. I don't know if that is a possibility or not, but go ahead.
If the gazebo were located, my understanding from talking to the planning folks is if this gazebo or a slightly smaller version that met the criteria, if it was sitting on top of the deck, in other words, if the concrete piers supported the deck and the gazebo were then built on top of the deck, it would comply. So the ironic thing here is that the height is only non-compliant because we've tried to get it to the level of grade of the deck. The strictly adhered, I understand the need for strict policies. I'm a big fan of maintaining shoreline quality. In fact, we scored 100% on our shoreline preservation score on our recent rental property assessment. We've left this property natural because we like it that way. We don't own a boat, we canoe, we kayak. So I also like the idea of maintaining a natural shoreline. This gazebo is so far back, it's no higher than the building that it's in front of. There is no way to have under your rules, this gazebo be accessible by a wheelchair without crossing a lot of ground, and in the winter that would be impossible. So the official plan says we should also consider accessibility concerns. I would say that your strict enforcement is by us being here today talking about this. When you design a policy, you cannot any longer say no to anything that meets the criteria, even if it's egregious. But you can say yes to something that's very close, because the general intent is to avoid shoreline development. And we don't think this gazebo is creating extra shoreline development. My only thing I can do with this gazebo, because there, as I outlined in my submission, that there are no other locations on the property, given the wellhead and minimum building separations, that the surveyors even told us the snow damage from plowing is going to destroy it in any other location. My only option is to cut it down to size, as was suggested by planning. If I do that, I would take off the back 3 feet of this gazebo. It would then comply with the area. It would not change the appearance of it at all from the water. So I'm wondering what the public has to gain. The general spirit of the bylaw is to prevent shoreline clutter. And we would not improve that one bit by tearing a piece of this gazebo off and re-engineering it.
Okay. I guess we, I feel for you. I wish we could work this out somehow, but, anyway, we're gonna have to.
I don't object to it. I think these people have done their homework on Friday, and I would vote in favor of it.
Okay, well, I have a vote too, I guess. So, to be honest, I would vote in favor of it too.
We've heard your story and we've heard the feedback, and I will agree with my other members of the committee here. Grant you the variance, as long as you meet all the recommendations.
Okay, so I need a motion now.
I'll make a motion to grant the minor variances.
Okay, moved by Chris Bishop. Seconded by
I'll
Don
second it,
Poppel.
yep.
Okay, I'll go through all these. So be it resolved that the committee decision with respect to file D13 MV 2026-004 be recorded as follows. An increase to section 3.1B to permit a stairway with a maximum setback area to have a maximum width of 2.1 meters as opposed to the permitted maximum of 1.5 meters be granted. All in favor? You. An increase in section 3.1B to permit a dock and a gazebo located within a minimal water setback area to have a total combined gross floor area of 22 square meters as opposed to, sorry. It's okay. As opposed to the permitted maximum of 20 square meters. Granted? All in favor? You. C, an increase to section 3.1B C to permit a gazebo with a minimal water set within the minimal water setback to have a maximum ground floor area of 11.6 square meters as opposed to the permitted maximum of 10 square meters. Granted, all in favor? You. D, an increase to section 3.1B D to permit a gazebo within the minimal water setback to have a maximum structure height of 4.5 meters as opposed to the permitted maximum of 3.5 meters is granted. All in favor? Thank you. E, an increase to section 5.2 to permit a maximum lot coverage of 16% as opposed to the permitted maximum of 15%. It's granted. All in favor? Thank you. F, an increase to section 5.2 to permit a maximum shoreline lot coverage of 16% as opposed to the permitted maximum of 15%. It's granted. Did we just read that twice or something? Once, okay,
Through your chair, one's for lot coverage and one's for
Once- yep.
shoreland lot.
thank
coverage.
you.
Yep.
Okay. G, an increase to section 5.2 to permit 3 accessory buildings plus one-story building less than 10 square meters in area, as opposed to the permitted maximum of 2 plus one-story building less than 10 square meters in area is granted. All in favor, thank you. Carried. And I think that's it. Go ahead.
I have one concern about one of the conditions, which was to move the hot tub by August the 1st. That's less than a month away. I couldn't get building permits until we finished our work today. Now I need to apply for a building permit to extend my deck a little bit within what we've just approved. That's going to take a bit of time, and then we have renters. So I wonder if that could be extended to October the 1st to give us enough time to get the permits approved.
Anybody got a problem with that? No issue, no. Adam,
Thank you.
can you change that somehow for us?
Yep,
Do I have to-
and what date do you want me to put
Will
for
you
that?
talk, October 1st?
October first.
Yep, I can edit that.
Thank you.
Okay. Think you're good to go.
Off the record. Future, told it's not last forever, it is replaced. That makes sense. Glad I got that there. Thank you.
That's all right. He's gonna do Zoom now. That's like asking for. He just was emailing me. He thought it was at 1 o'clock. So. Greg, can you hear us?
I can.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Adam, by the way, to getting to me there. I had 1 o'clock stuck in my head, so my fault. So at least I'm in front of my computer, and thanks for the link.
Okay, all good. All right. So our third application is for Lands of Harcourt Park, Inc. This is a variance request to permit an increased seasonal dwelling within the minimal water setback. Greg, do you want to give us a rundown?
Sure can. A fairly straightforward application. Initially, this started as a road allowance closing, which has taken place because the building sits on the road allowance, of course. The building does sit more than 10 meters behind that magic numbers that you can expand sideways up to 50% of the width. And they want to put an addition on to add a couple of bedrooms and an extended living room in an L shape ultimately. And we're over the limit by I think it's 2.9%. Adam, maybe you can confirm that, but I think we're asking for 52.9% when the bylaw requires 50%. So we're looking for, about a foot and a half here of width in order to make this work, and literally give them enough space to make the design with the L shape to be able to walk down a hallway and then make the bedrooms big enough that they're usable.
Okay, Thank you. Committee members. Any comments, questions?
Yeah, and the plan that there, is there any options to maybe push the additional building back? You talked about it's an L shape and it's going to affect the hall. So they've looked at this and makes the best sense for the plans for the addition.
Is that a question for me? Chris?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
great.
yes, is your,
Yeah, so generally speaking, because of the way the roof lines run, they can only add to an end. In other words, they'd have to go wider if they wanted to do it. And so the best way to do it was simply to take the roof line and come straight back and add to the side of the building. It just the way that the initial design is and the initial house is, it just makes more sense to come that way.
Okay. Anything, Don? Anything? All right, we'll go, Adam. Do we got any public comments and recommended conditions?
Yep. So through you, Chair, notice of the minor variance was circulated as required by regulation on June 29th, 2026. No comments have been received. And should the committee decide to grant the requested variances, the following conditions, or sorry, the requested variance, the following conditions would be appropriate. Condition number 1, this variance applies to a seasonal dwelling as shown generally on the property sketch dated June 27th, 2026 and attach the decision. Condition number 2, the County of Haliburton Shoreline Tree Preservation Bylaw 3505 applies. Condition number 3, the municipality of Dysart et al. Site Alteration Bylaw 2023-101 as amended applies. Condition number 4, during construction, proper site preparation and construction methods are to be used to prevent sedimentation of the adjacent lake. Condition number 5, prior to the pouring of footings, the applicants must submit confirmation from an Ontario land surveyor that the addition to the seasonal dwelling does not encroach into the legal non-complying minimum water setback. Condition number 6, prior to the issuance of a building permit for the addition to the seasonal dwelling, the applicants must submit an environmental impact study. Condition number 7, to implement the recommendations of the environmental impact study, if necessary, the owner shall enter into a development agreement to the satisfaction of the municipality. Condition number 8, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall bring the total number of accessory buildings into compliance with the zoning bylaw. Condition number 9, prior to the pouring of footings, as per section 3.1B3K of the zoning bylaw, the applicant shall enter into a site plan agreement with the municipality for the gazebo or move it out of the minimum water setback.
Okay. Anything jump out at you there, Greg, that
I'm sorry for getting in here a bit late. Are the environmental impact studies something you're asking for on all minor variances in these locations now? That's more of a question.
yeah.
I was surprised to hear it, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah, historically, we have, if there was an increase into the dwelling within the water setback beyond what was permitted. In some instances, we would ask for them on upfront, but in this case, we're adding it as a condition if it's approved, because we don't want the applicants to spend money just in case we're pending the committee's decision, but we leave it to the discretion of the committee.
So when you say encroaching further into the setback, the building itself, the closest corner is the south corner to the water. The new corner is less than the closest distance to water now. But
Yeah,
that's still,
sorry, Greg, I should have clarified. Yeah, expanding beyond what is permitted within the setbacks. So because
Okay.
the proposed development's going wider than is permitted when you're that close to the water. And given the presence of, there is wetland features as per the county's wetland mapping.
Okay.
As you know, potential for critical fish habitat and habitat for endangered species. That's why we're making that request, but given the minor addition, we'll leave it at the discretion of the committee.
Go ahead.
I could comment as well before.
no problem, yeah,
Greg, you go ahead.
Well, I guess when I look at this, the area is already disturbed beyond what we already have. the deck already is out there, the gazebo was out there, the shed they're removing's out there. We're not disturbing anything that already isn't already there and disturbed. I guess it'd be different if we were cutting and trimming trees and removing soil and doing all that other kind of stuff, but in this particular case, I look at it and say, well, we're already into the disturbed area and we're not expanded beyond that disturbed area.
Chris?
Well, I can agree with you there, and it does seem minor, and as long as I think all the other recommendations are met. Okay, to. make a motion to-
I can agree with that too, because I think they can spend this money on the study, and I don't think it's gonna change anything. So, anyway, that's my opinion. Don, do you wanna? Okay. All right, so now I'm looking for a motion. Oh, sorry.
Oh, and I just wanted to clarify, so that would, the committee's directing that condition 6 and 7 be removed, because the one requires the study and then the one requires the development agreement. So we can
Okay.
remove those if that's the wish of the committee.
Yep, I believe it is. So they're now out of the requirements, okay?
Yep, I'll remove those two conditions.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to grant the variance.
Moved by Chris Bishop. Seconded by Don Popple. Okay, be it resolved that the committee decision with respect to file D13 MV 2026-008 be recorded as follows. A, an increase to section 3.19A to prevent a main building dimension with most nearly parallel to the shoreline to be 53% of lot frontage for a total width of 16.3 meters, as opposed to the permitted maximum of 50% or 18.5 meters, whichever is less, is granted. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. You're good to go, Greg.
Thank you all, and thank you, Adam, for the quick email there to get me organized. Have a
Okay,
good day, everyone.
You
thanks.
too.
Okay, need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Don Popple. I will second that. Seconded by Chris Bishop. Be it resolved that the meeting be adjourned at 11:38. All in favor?